a book is like never finished. There's just reaches a point when you can't extend the deadline any further because you always want to tweak it. It's a serious labor of love.
What was the writing and creative process like?
Like
you said it was like almost harder than
way harder than anything we ever did on the AT. And well, first of all, I was writing a book with my husband, like not recommended. And we had a 1-year-old and I was 8 months. Well, I was pregnant with our second child because it took us a while to get off the trail, recover, and then really just like sit with like what just happened. And then Scott's literary agent was like, I was following. He wasn't planning on writing a book. He was like, that was the furthest thing from him. He was working on a different book. And then we were in Virginia somewhere and his agent was like, hey, I've been following you. He's like, I think there's a story here. And we're like, okay.
It's like, I really better get that FKT.
I mean, we're just like, oh, you think? Like, kind of not aware of how people were invested in what we were doing.
Why not?
Mm-hmm.
Was it from the installation or just like you didn't think that would be?
I don't know. We just didn't think it was that special. I mean, I don't know. He didn't tell anybody. Like, he didn't call Speedgo, get the beta. He wasn't that kind of guy. It was just something that we did, a personal trip, because I had all these medical things and we're like, let's just try this. And it was mostly him. But I don't know. It wasn't like this big hyped up thing that he wanted to do for any kind of sponsors and it was just something that we wanted to do for ourselves. So to think that, people were so invested in this. And
why do you think they were?
I think it's just like reality, any of that kind of like real life suffering. Like we saw him wither away. And then what he was doing was pretty, I guess, not novel, but the other earlier attempts, they weren't being as public. Like a lot of people, Speedgo, hide their trackers. They don't want the people, but he's so open. And he was like, I know everybody's going to scrutinize me. He was like, I want it just to be as transparent as possible. Anybody can check up on me at any time. So I think because it was so open and he had the live tracker he carried, this was back before the Garmin InReach. It was called the DeLorme InReach, and it was like a brick. And he insisted on carrying it. And I was just like, oh my God, this thing is so bananas. And you had to like press a million buttons to send him. We never sent a message. But I think that was still kind of novel following. I mean, there was spot trackers and stuff, but I don't know. I really still don't know why everybody was so into it. But
so then you decide to write the book.
Oh yeah. So we wrote the book. We decided, okay, we had enough time. We had a baby. And then we decided to like write a book proposal. And then our literary agent was like super excited and he shopped it around and we got a ton of interest in it. So then we're like, oh shoot, okay, now we have to actually write this. And it was hard just because he doesn't like talking about himself. And to really write the book that we wanted, it had to be like so honest. And so we wrote 3 versions, like 3 iterations. And we're like, it just wasn't, every time I was like, you're not being honest about. And then we're like, okay, we're just going to put it all out there. And we did, and my only hope, I was like, I just want our friends and family to be proud of what we did. But to write a book with like characters and an arc and all that other stuff that writers do, we're just runners. But like real writers, it's a craft and it's an art. And we had friends kind of help us and mentors and our agent and then somebody else from our agency just help. Oh, and our editor. And there's a lot that didn't get put in the book because they're like, let's just keep it. Anyway, it's such a grueling process. And I think so many people are like, I'm going to write a book. I should write a book. Actually sitting down and doing it, staring at a blank page and trying to write 250 pages is really hard. So kudos to all the runners who do that because we all want to be out running. Like nobody wants to sit down and write a book. And there's so many good writers out there who should write a book, like Tony Kropitchka, Jen Sheldon, all these people I would love to see a book from. but maybe they just don't have the desire to like sacrifice 2 years of your life.
Is that how long it took?
It almost.
Wow.
Between the proposal, getting a deal, writing the book, all the different, and we just kept pushing back on we kept missing our deadlines. And finally our editor was like, you guys, it's done. Like, you have to turn it in. And then one time I saw John Krakauer in town, and he was like, a book is like never finished. There's just reaches a point when you can't extend the deadline any further because you always want to tweak it. It's a serious labor of love that I don't recommend unless you really feel motivated to get your story out there. And our motivation was Scott felt like this was a continuation of his first memoir, Eat and Run, like a more mature, aged look at his trajectory.
So you talked a lot about putting it all out there. One of the things that you wrote about was fertility and the challenges that you had in having kids. Again, I think a lot of moms and parents are going to listen to this podcast and maybe hope that you talk about that. Why did you choose to write about that?
Just because, like we said, we were trying to be honest, and that's what we were going through. And the constant disappointment and the constant like medical tests, like constantly getting blood tests and doing all this stuff really was weighing both of us down. So we had to talk about it because we had so many moments when it came back, it resurfaced and all those feelings. It was just like, that was a huge part of our trip. So that's why we chose to talk about it. And true, because a lot of people do tell me that they appreciated that piece. And I have a lot of friends who have gone through infertility stuff. And, I think it is good that we are open about it. And a lot of people have miscarriages. A lot of people have like unresolved infertility, and it sucks. And I feel bad for people who can't make it happen.
Do you think your kids will ask you about that one day?
Yeah, probably. Because sometimes I joke, I'm like, oh yeah, Raven was my expensive baby, but Evergreen was my buy one, get one free. He was like out of nowhere, just, and I think my body, once I did the IVF for Raven, then like I immediately got pregnant with Evsy. So I think they kind of know. They kind of know that Raven was more of like a science baby, and then Evsy was a freebie.
Freebie. I love that. A freebie that wasn't free.
Yeah, it wasn't free, but I mean, too bad I'm always like, Raven, you have to work because we spent all your college fund. But like, Evergreen, you get to go.